Beep 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 beep. Hello, and welcome to the Jester News Awesome Gravy on a rather good day. There's two or three things I want to do today, but I'm going to just do one today because obviously I don't want you to have to listen to my wittering for about 25 minutes. Though it's quite possible you might end up listening to my wittering for about 25 minutes. So let's get straight to it, shall we? We've had a setback, haven't we? Eh? To Mourn upon Scotland. We've had a bit of a setback, right? And that Scotland's gone full-on nutcase, right? There's a Murray Mackenzie Black, I think they're called, an organisation that's produced a rather wonderful document, but it's a long one, so I'm going to have to take time to read it, and then I'll try and distill the basics of it so that I can bring it to you good Jesterites. So a couple of things before we start. I'm going to talk about Rishi Sunak and the Equality Act. It's just delicious. It's delicious. Right, so couple of things first. Australian peeps, I'm putting out a call again. I've now got 4 or 5 people that have come from Australia saying they want to have a look at the warrior teacher program. If you're from Australia or New Zealand or anywhere that's about, that sort of number of hours ahead of us, then that'd be something great if you could just say so. Secondly, I'm really intrigued to understand where my audience is coming from. So if you subscribe and then just pop the name of your country in the Dubris, right? Have a comment. Do a comment. Then it will give me a chance to take a look and see where actually people are coming from, which would be lovely. I'd like to know what the reach of the Jester now is. Like Freddy Krueger just gets longer and longer, right? Okay, bit of the old Freddy Kruegers. I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. So, without further ado, subscribe. Buy me a beer. Buy me a coffee. If you want to help, please do, because it just means I can keep going. So, what have we got then? Well, Rishi Sunak, who, as you may or may not know, is now our new Prime Minister. I know, it's hard to keep up, isn't it? But since the Tories have now stopped doing what the Tories are doing, which is essentially enacting Game of Thrones in number 10, right, okay? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? No, just too... They did away with Penny Mordaunt. She's been shuffled off to some back room somewhere. I can just imagine Sunak sat there saying to Penny's helpers, "Tell Penny it was me." Off you go, Mordaunt. Yeah, Wally. Right, so what Sunak's done is he's made an announcement that's in the Telegraph, and I'll put all the links in the description as usual in the Dubris, so we can have a look and see what's going on. But I thought we'd take a look through it and see what's not being said that's being said. So I'm going to read through the through the cracks. What's not being said, yeah? So we can see. So we got Rishi Sunak plans to clamp down on inappropriate sex education classes in school. Good, right? Okay. The Telegraph understands. Well, the Prime Minister wants to strengthen guidance for teachers on relationships and sex education to make sure children are only taught lessons that are age appropriate. Right? Okay. That's all very well and good, right? Okay. My concern would be, as it always is, that even within that guidance, it will not explicitly say that if you teach queer theory or gender ideology or practice it in the classroom, you're done, right? So I'd be interested to see how that guidance would go from Rishi to the schools, and then of course to Ofcom, not Ofcom. What's the one for teachers? Ofsted? Had enough. Fuck Ofsted. I don't know what's it called. Ofsted is Ofsted, right? To see what happens when it gets to Ofsted, and Ofsted go, yes, no, we'll ignore this. We'll continue to allow schools to preach the mantras of gender identity and queer ideology. And in fact, what we'll do is, if they preach it, we'll give them a higher mark, which I suspect is what's been happening. So let's have a look and see if it's actually going to change anything. Apparently, concerns are that some schools are contracting to sex education out to third-party companies, which are exposing youngsters to explicit content and contentious ideas about gender. No fucking shit, Sherlock. That's not just what... Have you heard of the Dice Game? If you've never heard of the Dice Game, right? The Dice Game was put out by an organisation called the Proud Trust, funded as always by public money, hiding itself as a charity, right? The Dice Game works like this. You get these dice, like cardboard dice, but they come in like the shape of a cross. There's an irony. In the shape of a cross, right? And you fold it over until eventually you get a dice. You've seen them. It's the sort of thing kids get all the time. And on each side of the dice is a piece, is a is a bit of the body, right? Okay? A bit of the body. So it'll say anus or penis or vagina or mouth or finger, and I think one of them is object. right? And the idea is then you get round with the kids and you give a dice to one kid, you give a dice to another, and you roll the dice and the two objects come up, and you have to say... you have to say what you could do with those two objects. Can you imagine? So what can you do with an anus and a finger? Billy, you're 13. What can you do with an anus and a finger? Now Billy knows, but he's not going to tell you. Because Billy thinks nobody else does it. And that's exactly where Billy should stay for the minute. We're one step away from a demonstration. That's what we're doing. Right, that's what they're doing. Right, roll it again. What we got this time? Tongue and finger. What can you do with a tongue and a finger? You know, it's all that kind of crap. The object one, I mean, let's not even go there. Right, so pick an object, Billy. What would you want to pick? No, fire truck isn't a good one. Pick another one. No, step ladder, no, Jimmy, you're not quite getting this. What we mean is, and you're away. The dice game. Fuck off. I think they've stopped using it now, but you don't know, do you, these people? It's understandable that parents might be a bit upset about that. Now, you're 18 years old, you get together with a bunch of your friends, right? And you've all had a drink and whatever, and you're, doing the stuff because your parents have gone away and you got the house for the first time. And there's, 6 or 7 of you left at the end of the night. It's 1:30 in the damn morning and you're all pissed and young, right? And somebody goes, let's play the dice game. You don't do that in secondary schools. Yeah, twats, right? Okay? I mean, you have to ask yourself, what were they what was going on in their mind when they designed it? I know. What we need to do is to teach children they can shove things up their butt. Don't forget that you can put a finger up a bumhole as well. What were they thinking? I think they should have put some ridiculous things and then really changed the sort of nature of it. Bum, vagina, knitting needle, crochet hook. And really got some questions being asked. Just imagine Billy going, I've done that, don't do it. Right, so this is what he wants to stop. Now, it's also because parents want to know what they're being taught about this stuff for obvious reasons. Now, it might be that you're a progressive parent or your parent perhaps is more of a conservative individual. It doesn't really matter which one you are. I mean, this sort of stuff really is something you should be taking a look at because even if you're a progressive parent, you should be able to appreciate that some aren't. Right, that's the society we live in. Some aren't, okay? That's very important. So, material aimed at children does include contentious resources such as race, transgender and sex education. What you've got to remember is the critical social justice blob will insert it wherever it can and practice it. Doesn't matter, they'll put it. So in maths, they'll say there are 4 boys, one's white, one's black, one's yellow, one's pink. Yep. Detract one black boy, what have you got left? Hierarchy, patriarchy of race, and so they're not just teaching it. In fact, they're not teaching it at all. They're practicing it. That's what you've got to understand. They're practicing critical social justice, as we saw recently with Sheffield Student Union when they overtook the engineering department and asked them to stop being engineers. Right. Okay. So this is the sort of thing we're seeing. So material aimed at children aged 12 and above, provided by the School of Sexuality Education, or SOSI, as they're known. Includes links to, here we go, mermaids. Oh yes, that wonderful organisation that probably was, I think, maybe. Hey, be gone. It had a 7-minute video urging students to become trans allies. Get your tits off, we all agree with you. Remove that cock. Right, become trans allies. The watchdog ruled that parents, when they asked, the parents asked, come on, give us the stuff, let's have a look. The watchdog rule that the parents don't have the right. I went over this before in a previous video. How do you think they're doing? If I'm training people, right, okay, people's children, right, and it's already been assigned to me and I've been paid and I know the contract's in place and the parents go, can we have a look? I put on a session for the parents. I've said this before, this is just insane. The All About Me syllabus was rolled out at over 200 primary schools across Warwickshire. I don't know, Warwickshire felt that this was particularly appropriate. Proposed that children should learn that lots of people like to tickle or stroke themselves. This is primary schools. Like to tickle or stroke themselves as it might feel nice, including their private parts. Right? Okay. How do we get where we are now without educating and celebrating their like? How do we get here? Yeah? Just leave the kids to discover it for themselves. This is a Woody, this is a vagina, this is a boy, this is a girl. Some people have two mummies, some people have two daddies. Some people love men, some people love women. Thank you very much for coming to my RSE lesson. I'll do that for free. Right? Okay, that's all they need to know. As if you have to tell teenage boys that wanking feels good. It's just insane. It's insane. You get up to about 11 or 12, and all you're getting is a sharp pain and a puff of wind, and then all of a sudden, da 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 da. It's like the opening of the Vault in Die Hard. Oh God, we'll do that again. Right? So just leave people alone. It drives me insane. The syllabus reassured children that this is really very normal. Really very normal. Right? As opposed to not very normal. Which, of course, there is no not very normal because they're queering. Go figure. But they also add that it's not polite to do it when other people are about. Not polite. Oh, do excuse me. Can you imagine? 12-year-old sat in the room when you're watching television with your mates. Oh, do excuse me. Just stop. Just stop. It's not that it's not polite. You're just not polite. You just don't fucking do it. It's just insane. You know, not polite. You know what that means? It's not polite to do it when other people are about. Is I'm going to do it. I'm going to, frig myself off or have a Kit Kat shuffle. But I'm going to apologise about it afterwards. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. That wasn't very polite, was it? There's something quintessentially British about this as well. It's just insane. Right, okay. So it became compulsory in 2019 that people have relationship educations. But there's mounting pressure from across the political spectrum to put this education on the national curriculum, following concerns children are left ill-equipped to cope with the new realities of online porn, cyberbullying and sexting. The hell are under 13-year-olds doing on the bloody internet anyway? And what the hell are 13 to 16-year-olds doing on the internet without any parental control? Okay, so he said, essentially what he's saying is, in his articles, and I'll put a couple of them down there, right, is that he's going to amend the Equality Act. He's going to amend it. It certainly smacks of that. Women and children, it is being said, right, that the protection of women and children is paramount. And he's going to clarify that transgender people aren't going to be able to self-identify and get themselves into women's spaces. The NHS, Sunak on the case. What we're seeing, I think, slowly but surely, is a possible return to sanity. Okay, so again, I will say what I said yesterday because a lot of people seem to like it. Take heart. All right, take heart. Because, gosh, wouldn't it be a terrible, terrible thing if Sunak's changes for the Equality Act meant that the legislation was incompatible in Scotland with the Equality Act for Great Britain and therefore had to be struck down? Can you see what it is yet? Listen, take heart, keep fighting. Whoever it is that messaged me to say they're into knives, why? No, really, have a good time, right? Okay. I'll see you later. I've got meetings because I'm at the Battle of Ideas. We've got a talk thing coming up that I'm going to, so I'm going to be the speaker. There's loads going on, and that's really good. Just keep going, folks, all right? Because we are making headway. And I think the barometer is really going to be what happens to Scotland's ridiculous GRA, whatever it is, when Sunak's done with the Equality Act. Have fun. Bye all.